staff have called the police, and I've just phoned and they've said the police are on the way, so I'll wait for the police. Because this is going to turn into one hell of an interesting police video when they arrive. Because it's really interesting that when I was here last year in October, I was on the private side of the black barrier and nothing happened. Obviously, I don't want to waste the time of the police because their resources are more and more limited, so I'll wait here for them to attend. And in the meantime, I'll do a bit of an audit of because the PCO didn't want me filming the prison of Savile Road Industrial Estate, Peterborough. That was the industrial estate literally opposite HMP Peterborough. Yeah, indeed. Obviously don't want to point my phone towards the prison because someone will get the wrong end of the stick. So what I think I'll do now is continue to cover the story of this prison which I'm standing in front of. I won't show it unfortunately, but anyone wants a video of HMP Peterborough should be able to perhaps take some advice on someone who knows the law. Perhaps Ash would be able to advise, and if you leave a message in the comments down below, I should be able to get you a redacted copy of the video I filmed here back in October. Hopefully the police will come, advise me it's perfectly okay to film, and I'll be able to actually show you the prison. I've just been off the phone with HMP Peterborough and they've advised the police are on the way, so I'll carry on covering this story in the public interest of an overcrowded Category B local male and female prison, which also for males has a Category C resettlement. Yeah, we leave the main prison wall here at HMP Peterborough. Kind of like HMP Norwich, except rather than having the local discharge located on a separate site of the prison, here in Peterborough it's within the main prison wall, I believe. Yeah, so I'm not able to show you anything more meaningful, but I don't want to inflame the PCOs because I have nothing against them. Also, don't want to risk recording the same PCO who didn't want me recording him or the prison and potentially risking a public order charge or worse. I don't want to take these risks, unfortunately. I have to wait for the police to arrive. They are apparently in attendance and will be here when they get here. Because in policing, there's no such thing as "will be here shortly" anymore. It's ridiculous. Like, in this prison are housed numerous low-level offenders who don't need to be here. Hence why it's overcrowded. Hey, yeah. Oh. For the record, that's the guy from earlier. I won't show him. Not to have any situation anyway. I'll just take a walk, I think, try and avoid getting anything shot I don't want it shot, and I'll take a walk up here. I'll be able to perhaps have a look at the comments and, at the backdrop of this bike shed here. So yeah, I'll show you this bike shed and these barriers, because they're not really part of the prison per se. Shouldn't be a problem there. Hi, dressed to impress family. Hi, can you say hi? Yes, I certainly can say hi. And yeah, I would do a selfie video. It's just because it appears to be a prisoner stood right in front of me, and I don't want to embarrass him by showing him in shot. So that's why I will not be doing will not switch the cameras around. Prefer to be able to show people, look, I'm just recording myself, as you can see. So because I'm not using the selfie camera, this comes out imperfect, but unfortunately with this rubbish phone, that's all I can really do. So if anyone wants to buy me some better recording equipment, I'll post in due course the link down below, and I would very much appreciate a donation, please. But yeah, to repeat what I said earlier, it wasn't recorded. Peterborough Prison holds both male and female prisoners on the two separate sides of the prison, and they are kept separate from each other at all times. Yeah. And on both sides of the prison, from what I've heard, the prison is overcrowded. On both the male and female side, it's not unusual for two prisoners to be forced to share a one-person cell because of overcrowding. And rather than invest in reducing the causes of offending, the government prefers to treat people like goods and warehouse them in prisons like HMP Peterborough, where prisons don't deliver real rehabilitation or full prison regime. In some cases, prisons don't even deliver a basic regime because they're constantly short-staffed. Like, I'm not sure about Peterborough, but look at Wandsworth, for example. Wandsworth, I know if you're going off topic entirely, but in Wandsworth, it's not uncommon not to even have a basic regime because officers deliver basic are not there when they need to be. So prisoners may not even have the chance to clean out their cell, or never mind do something purposeful like go to work or education. And all this is because of overcrowding. And that is why we need to campaign for less people in prison. And that's why I'm here. But yeah. So, yeah, that's one story. Another story is a PCO didn't want me recording earlier, told me to delete the footage or ring the police. So I told him to go ahead and ring the police, and that's another reason I'm here. So yeah, I'll just have a look at the comments while I point this towards the industrial estate over there. Oh, hi, Emmy. Hi. 420 Stone Samurai. Oh, yeah, I know what you're referencing. 420, yeah. I remember once I did a video of a brief video of the 420 demo in Hyde Park. Yeah, I've never been to prison, so don't really know from 420 Stone Samurai. Correct, but if you want to find out about the current prison crisis, which is caused by housing too many people in prisons like HMP Peterborough or HMP Norwich, Lincoln, Wandsworth, etc., or Lord known Pentonville, those are known to be overcrowded. Hello. Thank you, will do. Oh, not nicer. But yeah, because of the overcrowding of prisons beyond what is beyond the space prisons have to provide certified normal accommodation, because of that overcrowding, prisoners who previously back in the 90s would have received a full prison regime in many cases end up locked in their cells when they should be doing something purposeful. Well, yeah. And it's funny how it appears police resources are now being diverted from dealing with crime to dealing with someone legally filming Peterborough prison instead. Or are they? Honestly, don't know. I prefer not talking to the police, so I don't think I'll phone 101. I think most likely I'll be tempted to either return to the patch and ask the PCOs there. Even then, I'd rather not inflame things by recording beyond the bollards, which would be their property. And so I think I'll have to stop streaming too. I don't want to approach or talk to them because, frankly, the PCO dealt me earlier came across as a bit rude. Not to mention, I don't want to be dealing with the PCOs, so I think I'm just going to have to stay here and wait. But yeah, unfortunately, this is what happens when a prison is short-staffed and they have limited time for training staff. Yeah, some staff are ignorant of the public. It's not the fault of the individual, it's the fault of the system. It's what happens when you have prisons filled beyond certified normal with too many prisoners, with too few staff, and that's what you get. like I'd urge everyone to, at some point, put some kind of movement to call for reform. Back to the industrial estate so I can see what's happening here. I was at Hyde Park last year, so 426, am I? Well, shame I wasn't. Have I been? Yes, I've been to Hyde Park on 420. And, maybe what I'll do, so I can use the selfie camera, is I'll walk up here. Look, there's the burger van. Put this hood up. And maybe record myself. Yeah, here it is. The wonderful bike rack. Here it is, just outside Peterborough Prison. Here I am. Kenny Chapman. Chamnan. Dude, I've not seen you online for so long. I hope you're doing well. Yes. I am, unlike, unfortunately, the staff and prisoners in this overcrowded prison. All that because the previous Conservative government wanted to be tough on crime, and before them, the so-called New Labour government under Tony Blair and Gordon Brown also want to be tough on crime, and the result of that is sentences get longer, more people get convicted and sentenced to prison as an immediate sentence, and as a direct result, because there haven't been any prison building programmes, although we can't build our way out of a prison overcrowding crisis, we can't, because we wouldn't be able to build rapidly enough to tackle overcrowding at current trends. We would have to stop sending so many people to prison in any event. And because of that, you end up with prisons housing more prisoners than they did back in the 1990s, and fewer people able to make a success of their release and rehabilitation. Like, here's a story. Although I did not go to Peterborough because of me being male, went to HMP Norwich quite a few years ago, released with pretty much no support because I was bailed, eventually got time served, which meant a year on probation, post-sentence supervision, and received no support in terms of jobs or housing. Luckily, I was able to get housing through the local council. I nearly got a job for an autism charity based in Suffolk, only to be told I couldn't work by Norwich probation. I won't name names because the need to carry a risk assessment for public protection. This led to a mix-up in which another probation officer had to look at matters and said, because you're not on prison licence anymore, that ended years ago, back in 2018, you don't need to worry about getting recalled if we don't approve your employment, because that does not apply if you're on a community order or suspended sentence. And at that point, I committed a further offence and got a suspended sentence as well. As a community order ran out in November, the suspended sentence was ordered in October last year, and it's ongoing until April next year. And the other officer said you can go ahead and start the job. I then spoke to the boss, shout out to the nice lady Thekla from Asperger East Anglia based in Beccles, and she said we can't take you on as a paid employee because we've had our funding cut. And because of the mess of central government, I nearly got myself a job, although years after being released, and I had to go find it myself, and not to mention stay out of trouble to impress Thekla, which is in itself an effort given the practically non-existent, very minimal support I'm currently getting from probation. I really had to push that boat out, almost got a paid role, only to be robbed of that chance thanks to probation. That's probation for you. Yet another part of why prisons are so overcrowded. This is in a way comparable to other political issues, in which in theory we have rights. In practice it becomes impossible to exercise these rights, and that's exactly why I'm here to exercise my rights and make a stand against the prison probation service, because they need some brave people like me to make a stand against them. And it's a shame it's come to this, and it is absurd. Like October last year, almost I almost believed I was going to end up at HMP Norwich, which isn't too far from here. Yeah, the court, just as they said, just after they said, we sent you 12 weeks in prison, then said suspended for 18 months for the criminal damage I committed, out of frustration and probation not allowing me to take a paid job I just managed to find. And because the same central government that's robbed me of that chance through probation also cut the funding for the charity, now that charity can't take me on the paid role. However, I have managed to find a volunteering role with that same charity, doing the same work I would be doing as a paid employee if the same government who had screwed up by denying me a chance to have that job hadn't cut their funding. And now I'm a volunteer for them, which is something for my CV, and it's better than nothing. At least I get my bus ticket back, although I don't get anything else. So yeah, well done to Thekla for getting me that volunteering role, and thumbs down to probation for denying me a paid job. And the annoying thing is, until recently, I've received no meaningful support in terms of finding employment until for what felt like the nth time since being released from HMP Norwich in 2018. That was the first time. And then second time, I got remanded for about 2 weeks, being released in November. So since then, I've mucked up numerous times, and after mucking up for what felt like the 47th time since being, well, maybe I'm exaggerating slightly, numerous times after being released from HMP Norwich, first in January 2018, then after going back for 2 weeks on remand, November 2018, after being screwing up numerous times and getting put on this suspended sentence, I'm now receiving employment support from St Giles. And it's sad that since being released from prison back in 2018, to get any support for employment, it's taken a lot of reoffending. That support should be available to all offenders, not just those on community orders or suspended sentences. It certainly wasn't available to me immediately after being released from prison. And that is yet another example of how the prison probation system is an utter failure when it comes to rehabilitation. And not just that, the nearest response police unit available for a priority within an hour job will shortly, for want of a better word, alright, about 30 minutes or so when it arrives here, which I think it will, be taken away from keeping Peterborough safe to dealing with some person with a phone filming the prison, because Sodexo, who run HMP Peterborough, have nothing better to do than call out the local police for what is basically nothing but me carrying out a lawful activity. As a result, I'm feeling too frightened to actually show the prison, because I know I'll be ejected from their property, and or that will lead to police turning up even sooner. It's ridiculous, frankly, but that is the prison service. Not prison service, that's Sodexo for you. Really glad I managed to get that calling. Really am. But yeah, anyway, now I've talked about the problem, let's talk about the solution. Anyone in the chat, how would you resolve the problem of too many in prison, not enough rehabilitation being delivered to ex-prisoners and those being punished in the community, and far too much reoffending? How would you solve that problem? No response. Okay, here's how I would solve it. What the prison probation service needs to learn from the experience of people like me is, first of all, rather than releasing people on remand who've been on remand and are bailed or found not guilty or whatever with absolutely you know what all in terms of support, former remand prisoners should, from the day of release, receive some kind of support. That may not be exactly the same support as a convict gets, but they should have some kind of support for former remand prisoners. If necessary, there should be perhaps a government agency created for that purpose, or some kind of support system for ex-remand prisoners. Because if you've been on remand and you've not been sentenced in some way, you're entitled to sod all once you walk out that gate. You don't even get the, I think, £80 or how much it is discharge grant that a convicted prisoner who served at least 14 days in prison under sentence will get on release. You don't even get that if you've been on remand. I didn't, because again, I did not serve 14 days post-sentence, so didn't get it on either occasion. So first of all, provide some kind of support, preferably broaden the discharge grants to that group of former prisoners. Secondly, my suggestion would include make more effort to ensure former prisoners, ideally whether remand or convicted, have somewhere to stay and somewhere to work. That will keep them out of trouble. That means they don't have to resort to begging for people for money for a hostel. Seen many beggars, or for that matter, resorting to fraud because they can't get, or turning to crime, like selling illegal drugs. I won't name any names, but I know people who've turned to crime, is all I'll say. Instead, providing for legitimate employment so they don't have to turn to crime, so they can earn a legitimate income without having to stand on some poor shitty site in the city centre and hand out and offer people big issues and say, would anyone like one? This week's big issue, would anyone like one? Which is pretty futile. Give them legitimate employment on release. Apparently some sectors have a shortage of workers. Of course, someone like me with numerous disabilities and the medication I use would not be suitable for all sectors, but there needs to be some way of matching prisoners who are ex-prisoners who on release will be a ready and willing and potentially enthusiastic workforce with job roles that are suitable, legitimate and helpful in rehabilitating these people. Instead of imposing orders like criminal behaviour orders on convicted offenders, better still, that kind of support should be broadened to anyone punished by the justice system, not just those who've been to prison. You know, remember, they're still human. And another method for preparing people for release is to abolish the practice of forcing male prisoners to wear prison uniform, unless, full stop I would say abolish it entirely, even on basic. Because there are numerous reasons and arguments against forcing male prisoners to wear prison uniform, even on basic. Because, first of all, it enforces an us-v-them mentality between prisoners and officers. Secondly, it enforces the prison mentality, which in many cases carries on through the gate on release. By treating prisoners as humans, allowed to wear their own clothes, irrespective of what IEP they happen to be on, the prison service could help send out the right message to prisoners that, unlike me when I first got released from HMP Norwich, that message would be, when you walk out that gate, make sure you get it right first time. Don't screw up. And the best way of enforcing that is, we treat you as human, we let you wear your own clothes, and in return, we expect good behaviour throughout your stay here and on release, because we don't want to see you again. Like, to use an example, in Norway, at the men's prison, Halden prison, the conditions are so much better here than prisons here. In return, as well as even better on Bastøy Island, which is an open prison in Norway. In return, prisoners are expected to keep their nose clean for the rest of their lives. And it works. Offending rates in Norway are close to non-existent, especially for prisoners who've been in their nicer prisons long term. Very few of those prisoners we offend. So the argument that prisons naturally need to be more austere to reduce reoffending is nonsensical. But yeah, start by treating them as human. Another approach would be train staff to be more polite and more responsive to the needs of prisoners. That would reduce the amount of angry prisoner incidents involving confrontations with prisoners and staff that not only enforce an us versus them mentality and leads to poor behaviour on the inside, but also carries on out of that prison wall, through that prison gate, onto the outside. Instead, prisoners should be taught better behaviour through leading by example, not through being sworn at and abused like I was at HMP Norwich. That broke me down, and it was awful. I wasn't the same. It damaged me. I was not the same after that. I'm still getting over the past trauma from being in that shithouse, HMP Norwich. Like bad prisons like HMP Norwich, you wouldn't even wish on my worst enemies. It's too mean. And another method for reducing reoffending and helping to promote rehabilitation is, again, stop overcrowding prisons. Personally, I think one good method of doing that would be to operate, with the only exception being perhaps exceptional circumstances, to operate on a one-in, one-out basis and stop sending people to prison for the hell of it. From what I've heard, women, cis women, or in some cases trans women who hold a GRC or under exceptional circumstances are held in female state, and particularly cis women, end up being held in women's prisons unnecessarily for the sole purpose of punishing them for low-level law breaches, all while males get away with what in comparison is murder, with no more than a suspended sentence at most. This is sexism, and it has to come to an end. It wouldn't be tolerated in any other part of the public sector. It would not be tolerated if, by example, to use one example, if let's say the NHS were more likely to treat males than females, there would be mass protests. Yet, males who enter the justice system are more likely to be rehabilitated and punished in the community than a cis female offender who is more likely to find herself on the wrong end of the prison wall, like that at HMP Peterborough over here, than a male. To use one example, while living as a man, I previously assaulted a police officer, and all I got was put in an arm lock, walked over to a bench because I think the officer needed to move me away because he was arresting someone. It seemed like he was punishing me. Turns out he was just controlling, restraining me. And after taking the details, he decided to take no further action. All I got was a telling off for some pretty serious shit. Yeah, I've heard one woman, for not paying her TV licence in Scotland, went to Scottish women's prison, Quantum Vale. And numerous cases of cis women who come into contact with the criminal justice system being sent to women's prisons for far less serious than I've gotten away with in the past. So I can see why one might argue my stay in HMP Norwich was somewhat morally justified, because one could say, even if it was a bit excessive putting me behind the prison wall for doing this to the police, it wasn't when you take into account the full picture. Well, I would still protest, no I'm clutching at straws here, that I'm innocent, presumed innocent until proven guilty, and so much for that when I'm not even getting tried before being sent there. So another method, here's a message to judges, stop remanding people so much. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. What I think I'll do is because it's been almost 30 minutes, is I'll go to prison reception, preferably so as to not antagonise the PCOs with the phone not recording, because my worry is if they search me, they might discover phone recording, and that could get nasty, especially if they invite me inside. I'll probably go inside, ask them how long it will be until the police get here, and if they say just leave, we're not going to call the police, I think I'll be most likely be on the next train, or maybe go find somewhere else in Peterborough that needs an audit. So thank you everyone, and shout out to Kenny Chapman successive governments have prioritised illegal immigrants over their own populace. Yeah, you're right, man. You're right, mate. The money thrown at illegal immigration would sort out prison overcrowding recidivism. 100% right, I'm with you on that. Talking of that, call me a traitor all you want, leftists. But the funny thing is, I know someone else who agrees with that, James Harvey, and I, even though I strongly disagree with him on certain things, I agree with him on that. So, yeah, I'll stop recording now and go have a word of the PCO. So, thanks and goodbye. Fully agree. Like,